Well, it is so good to be here and share this 15-minute message with you about going through the stages that we do. I love to be on stage. It is one of my very favorite and happiest places to be. But I've also been through a significant amount of life stages. Does anybody else feel like they are going through all of the life stages right now? Yeah, like all at once. It's like you're going through puberty all over again as this fully grown adult. What is the deal? Nobody ever prepared us for this. You see, and as much as I love all these changes that we're experiencing and new things almost every day, I also crave stability. Maybe you feel like that. You're like, yeah, it's good to switch things up, but like, could it just be predictable for once? Maybe tomorrow? And as much as we crave that stability, the universal truth for all of us and all of humanity is, in fact, that change is inevitable. So the big question that we're coming at today is, how do you feel confident through all of those changes that you're experiencing? How do you create confidence not only in this stage, but in the ones that are to come? And I believe that the stage that we speak on has a lot to do with the stages of life that we go through. And so, what I want to do today is to help you create confidence to step onto the stage as a speaker so that you can create more confidence stepping into the different stages of life that you're going through. Because, I've been going into all kinds of different stages in my life. Just to name a few, I was a kid and then my parents got divorced when I was young. I went into high school, puberty, and all of that, tried to figure out the big questions. Who am I? Where do I belong? What am I supposed to bring to the world? I got married when I was young. We had kids really shortly after that. I was a pastor for a while and switched careers, deconstructed my faith. I built my own business. My parents died. That's a whole different stage. And now what am I, 42? Am I in midlife? I don't know what this is. And I sometimes feel less confident in myself than I ever have. But then I've also stepped onto a ton of stages in my life as a speaker and a performer. As a kid, I grew up watching my mom on the theater, and she put me on stages when I was a kid, whether I wanted to or not. And then in high school, I fell in love with it and really wanted to perform as much as possible. Then I started to speak, and specifically in a role as a pastor. I actually won the drama award at my school, at my college as well. But then I was speaking as a pastor for a decade and all kinds of different stages. And now as a professional speaker, I get paid to do this, to step onto stages and speak and share a message. And what I'm learning is that the preparation required to step onto a stage like this and confidently speak as a speaker is a very similar preparation that will help us all step into the stages of life that we're going into. And so today I want to walk through and give you specifically 3 main tools that will help you prepare for the stages you're stepping onto and the stages you're stepping into to be more present than ever before. Because I know what we want is to make a lasting impact. I know it. That's why we're here. And it's been clear to me that I would make a lasting impact in this world using my voice in a situation like this. As I said, my mom took me through the theater and I grew up thinking about being an actor. But then when I was a teenager, I was 17 years old, and 6 words changed the trajectory of my life, spoken by Dave. Now, in high school, as clear as I was that I was going to use my voice and be a speaker, going through high school, I was so confused who I was going to be. Talking about life stage, it's a stage that we all go through. And specifically for me, there was many stages that I felt like I went through in high school. I remember grade 9 trying to find who I was, and I showed up as this jock, shorts in the winter, trying out for all the teams. I just wanted to be part of that crowd. But then I didn't really fit in with them. They were jerks. I wasn't, something like that. I don't know, but it wasn't for me. So then in grade 10, I was like this jock, spiked hair, music too loud coming out of my Walkman, ripped jeans and Value Village old work shirts. And I went to punk rock shows, and that was who I was. And then in grade 11, I was like the drama kid. And I just hung out in the drama room. I walked around the school with a script in my hand and performed in all the plays. And then around that same time, I also became like this Christian kid, which was this whole weird story where this girl I wanted to date said I needed to be a Christian if we were going to date. So I said, sure, I'll do that. And then we started dating, and it was kind of fake. She broke up with me. Then we started to date again when she realized it was kind of real. And then that was real. And thankfully, it's still real because I'm still married to that woman now for 21 years. We're still dating, which is really, really special. But through all of those confusing times, there was one thing that was clear, and that was, I need to do this. I need to speak. And there was a really great opportunity to speak because around that same time when I was playing around with that Christian lifestyle, I volunteered at my church in the youth group with a bunch of junior hires. These were 11, 14-year-olds that were looking for like who they were, more confused about their identity than I ever was as an older teenager. And the youth pastor at the time was Dave. And Dave would get up every week for this group of like 30 to 50 kids. And he would share a message to inspire them about their purpose in this world and their relationship with God. And Dave was this like superhuman man. He looked like Captain America, like just built and absolutely chiseled jaw, just outstanding. And he would speak and the kids would listen to him. And then one week, he came up to me after speaking, after the program was done, and he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, do you want to speak next week? I was like, well, that's weird. I've never done that before, but yes. And so I prepared, and I prepared in all the ways that I thought I needed to prepare, to be just like Dave, to make it absolutely perfect. And then when I got up there and spoke the next week, it was anything but perfect. And I was losing my mind because kids were farting, people were falling asleep, literally snoring during my speaking. And then by the time they left, I felt like I had screwed it up completely. And then Dave, Captain America, put his hand on my shoulder and said these 6 words. Do you want to try again? And I said yes. And I've been trying again ever since. Because what I recognized in that moment was that as perfect as I tried to be on that stage, it wasn't about perfection, it was about being present. And I'm still trying to prepare now every day to be on stage and not be perfect when I do this, but to be able to be present on this stage and in every stage. And I want to help you do the same. So imagine this. To step into the next stage of your life or step onto a stage as a speaker, I want you to think of an actor preparing for what they do. Okay, obviously this is a familiar sort of experience for me, but maybe it's not for you. So I want you to imagine sitting in those red velvet seats in a theater. And you see this actor come out and they perform their role and it's believable and they make you feel things and see and think that they are actually going through what they're going through. And obviously that actor can do that because they have prepared so exceptionally well. But here's the key. It didn't matter how much they prepared if they weren't willing to step out from the wings. So all of this that we're going to talk about here, this one thing needs to happen for you in your life is to overcome the fear of moving forward and choose to step out from backstage. Will you choose to step out from the wings? When you choose to step out, then you will step onto the stage and into the stage with more confidence than ever. Now, how do we do that? How do we prepare before we step out? Well, there's certain ways to do that. An actor uses a script. This is a script from a show that I actually got to perform in with my mom, very special to me. And through this, it's got all kinds of notes for me about where to stand and highlighting my lines versus the other people's lines. And all the notes about what to do when are in there. And I prepared with that so that I felt confident stepping onto the stage. Now, I feel like to step into a stage of life, I've got something similar, and that is my journal, where I come up with all kinds of different notes to write in here, ideas, thoughts, things I'm going through. But still, this gives me confidence so that I can step into the next stage, the next day, or the next few years with more confidence. And as a speaker, I mean, I've got my script that I use and I write out and I remember and I write all my notes on there so that I can confidently step out onto the stage. There's all kinds of these scripts that we have, and we'll get into where those fit into the grand scheme of the whole plan. But all of that helps you prepare, not so that it can be perfect, but so that you can be present. Because ultimately, all of the preparation that you're doing, here's what I want to encourage you to do, is to recognize that it doesn't matter if you don't start to perform. And the performance isn't going to be perfect. But when it's time to step onto the stage, it's time to perform. So I want you to say that with me now. Will you say, it's time to perform? 1, 2, 3, it's time to perform. That's right. So what does your performance look like? See, I remember two people. As I think about how we actually prepare so that we can be present, I think about two people that stood out to me as preparing for the stage and how that helped them prepare for their stage of life. One was 11 years old, one was 54 years old. There's Carson and there's Lisa. Carson was in that junior high group that I was leading back then, and Carson was this obnoxious little turd. He would speak out all the time, interrupt my messages and everything that was going on the stage. And instead of trying to kick him out or anything, we said, Carson, do you want to be on the stage? He said, yeah, I'd love to. So we actually gambled and we gave him Carson's minute, 1 minute with the microphone where he can do whatever he wants to do on the stage. And he lit up. I mean, he owned that minute. He got people involved. They were dancing. They were singing songs. He taught dances. He spoke little poems. He had so much fun with that. And what happened was that we saw him then become more confident and more of a leader than he ever was before. Preparing for that stage helped him understand the stage he was in. And then there's Lisa. Lisa was one of my story coaching clients, and she came to me and really confused about what she was supposed to say and do with her business and her life as she was shifting careers. And we started to understand her story, where she came from, so that she could share it more confidently on stages. And as we did that, she then made these big leaps and is now touring the world looking for or exploring all of these amazing places. As she said, understanding her story has given her confidence to now go and step out like never before. Preparing for the stage helped her prepare for her stage of life. And she's not alone. See, so many people are trying to figure out, how do I do this? How do I step onto the stage? And there's this great fear about stepping onto the stage as a speaker. And it's the same fear about stepping into whatever stage of life is next. 75% of people, they say, fear public speaking. And for 15% of them, it's debilitating. They cannot do it, they feel like. And when we think about the stages of life, the biggest fear that people have is death. And specifically, when it comes to that, there were studies done around this fear of cancer. And the number one fear that showed up through these studies of why people fear cancer is because they lose control. And so whether it's speaking or it's disease and it's death, the thing that we fear most is a lack of control. So I want to give you 3 things right now to walk away from this so that you feel like you have more control, so you can be more present on every stage. Number 1 is the character. Number 2 is your script. And number 3 is the performance. Let's talk about character for a second. Character is understanding your story. This is about really knowing who you are. Great actors understand where their character came from and what led them to this moment, and I want you to do the same. Look back at your story, see the transformation you've already experienced, so that you know that when you face any boundary that is similar to that, you can say, well, I've already overcome this. Because you know who you are, you can go forward to become who you're going to be. And then there's the script. The script is really your role. This is what you're supposed to do in any situation. What is your role right now in the world? When you understand your character, then you can look forward and say, okay, my role right here is to be this. To be this for these people. Sometimes that's different. Sometimes my main role is dad, but sometimes my main role is actually kid, son, when my parents were dying. Sometimes my main role is coach and speaker. What role do you need to play in this moment, and how can you be present in that, understanding the script that is assigned to you? And finally, this performance. This is where you decide to step out from the wings and into the stage to actually perform what you're here to do. So what I want you to do is put down a number, 1, 2, or 3. Which one of those, character, script, or performance, do you need the most support with right now? 1, I need to understand my story. You can type that in the chat. 2, I need to understand my script. What is my role right now? Or 3, I need to actually just decide to play the game and perform. Look, I want to leave you with this. Ultimately, this is about being present over perfect. And when you step into any stage of life or step onto any stage, I want you to remember this. I want you to put these 2 hands up. This one is present, this one is performance, or this one is perfect. And I want you to think before you step into this place, this stage that you're heading into. Presence over perfection. And you do that action. So when you're stepping into a hospital, you say presence over perfection. And I'm going to be present here because I understand who I am. I know what my role is here, and it's time to perform. And the next time that you step onto a stage to speak, I want you to hold your hands out and do that exact same thing. Presence over perfection. And then speak. When you do these things, you will be prepared and create confidence like never before so that you can step onto the stage as a speaker and step into any stage of your life with more confidence than ever before. Thank you. Well, I practiced that. I went through it, and it was 40 seconds too long. So I'll tell you what. I'll give everybody 1 minute grace in your 15-minute speech so that you can go up to 16 minutes if you need to, but practice for 15. All right. Have fun with it. Enjoy. Put your pieces together and see what comes out. Whew! Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here.